Today, after the cries of many people for a new ban list, or some people were crying, I didn't overly think we needed one, a new Yu-Gi-Oh ban list is here, and let's talk about it. Let's talk about how it changes everything, how it creates a new for the game. Because this is a very interesting ban list, and I think will lead to a very interesting format, and it's a good ban list. But we'll get to that when we get to that. First up, as always, I will start off with the things that went to 3, as in my opinion, when things go to 3, they aren't that relevant anymore. There are things here that I think could become relevant as we go through this new format, but we'll have to wait and see. For right now, these are the things I'm interested in the least. First up, compulsory evacuation device is at 3. This is interesting, as torrential went to 3, and at first people were like, who cares, but that is super relevant. So same with Allure of Darkness. Could this go the same route? Maybe, but the thing is that the card I think is here because of Nightmares. Nightmares can recur this card can be used against Nightmares, and considering we're going into a format based on co-linking, being able to ditch monsters and sort of break a board like that without having to commit a lot to said destruction can be very important. So could Compulse be relevant? Maybe, I don't know, we'll have to wait and see. Next is Neospatian Grammel going to 3. Similar to with Compulse, although being a monster that eats up your normal summon, Grammel comes with some drawbacks that I think have ultimately resulted in why he can be at 3. Again, remember, he's still a card that can out anything, so if you need him, he's not the worst thing in the world to tech in, but ultimately I don't think he's going to do much anymore. Next is one I'm a little torn on. Mathematician went to 3. On the one hand, I do think this could be important, as he dumps monsters, he lets you draw when he's destroyed, level 3 can come in handy with some Xyz plays and Synchro plays if we ever get Needle Fiber, but ultimately he was at 2 and not doing anything. Now granted, a lot of the stuff in the meta wasn't based around getting stuff in the grave, and I don't really know if it will go that route, but for right now I think he's fine being at 3. Ignis Heat, the True Draco Warrior. True Draco's got an interesting set of hits on this. I'm just going to go out and say this. I think him being to 3 is fine. True Draco's lost the big problem. So getting him back I think is fair. I don't even overly remember thinking he needed to be limited at the time anyways. I thought they should have just hit Masterpiece then. But bringing him back to 3, considering they got rid of the big problem anyways, I think is fine. Grand Soil, it was only hit because of degenerate firewall loops. Firewall's at 1, so they can't really do that anymore. Elemental Lords just became a deck, all this and that. Basically, the card's not that important, and it's getting its errata reprint in a few weeks anyway, so who cares. Atlantean Dragoons, that's great for Mermails, but ultimately, I don't think Mermails will do much more in the meta than they are now, and that is they're just that annoying OTK deck you face at a regional. Now, yes, this makes them a little more consistent, this gives them some more powerful, and thus you might see them more, but I just don't really see how this changes their playstyle enough to really get anyone who wasn't already interested in the deck into it. It's still just based around an overpowering and OTKing your opponent, so I don't really see what this changes. Moving on to semi-limited, Ring of Destruction, basically same argument with Compulse. You can obviously add in factors like, well, you lose life points too, so if you're already in a bad spot, this can actually hurt you, but it does stop co-link plays, blah, 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 things with destruction immunity, blah, blah, blah. Again, same logic with Compulse. Cleafort Towers, just put it to 3. Cleaforts are dead, they can't really do much. If you want to try, more power to you, but put Towers at 12. I don't think it's going to do much. Moving on to Limited. Not a lot of Limited, which is weird because I actually like it when things go to 1. Chain Strike, Chain Burn is annoying. They probably just dealt with it because they're cleaning up all the other annoying FTK nonsense. Might as well get that too. Gem Knight Master Diamond might not be the right call. I think Lapis Lazuli was, especially because Lapis Lazuli didn't really fit the Gem Knight playstyle when it showed up anyways, so if you got rid of it, it's sort of like nothing ventured, nothing lost for Gem Knight players. Master Diamond is their boss monster, so hitting them could be a big deal. On top of that, some people are saying the FTK is still usable with only one Master Diamond anyways, so this might end up being all for nothing, and you would still have an annoying FTK running around. Dynamite to 1, same thing with True Dracos. I never thought he really needed to be banned in the first place. At 1 is fine. True Dracos lose their biggest toy, but they get a new toy, so there you go. That's it for Limited. Moving on to Banned, of course, Stratos is still banned. Construct is still banned. I'm actually surprised Redox is still banned. You think with Dragonic Diagram being one of the big things it looks like they're promoting for the Megatons, they do that back so True Kings could actually have some power. I don't know if that would really affect True Kings becoming a thing again, but he's another one. I don't even overly think he super needs to be banned anyways. I mean, I hate his effect because I love the extra deck, but if he came back, it'd be fine. Terraforming should really go to 1 because degenerate field spells keep happening. I don't know if that necessarily means you need to hit anything with Trickstar or Invoked, because Terraforming would be a hit to them as well. I don't think those decks need direct hits because they don't seem to ever do anything different. They seem to have their weird spot in the meta and they just sort of stick to it. Not too strong, not too weak, they just kind of exist. So, yeah. Also, Scapegoat should really go to 1. 1-card Borreloads is not nice. Then we have That Grass Looks Greener. I don't like 60-card decks. I think they are bullshit. I liked the idea of That Grass Looks Greener when it came out, but the direction the card went became extremely degenerate because just so much stuff works in the grave, and even though having your deck at 60 inherently has consistency problems, things like Light Sworns and Infernoids have so many cards that you can use to fix those consistency problems, it doesn't even really become a problem and sort of just allows the deck to do more nonsense. If it was either this or Fairy Tale Snow, I'd rather they just limit Fairy Tale Snow, but at the end of the day, this is still a choice that gets the job done and maybe does it in a way that's more permanent. Rank Up Magic Argent Chaos Force. This was here because of the Zexal lock, which Magician Pendulums was also utilizing. This ban list felt like it wanted to make Magicians still have some level of power, but deal with the excess stuff that was coming up from them. So I understand the need to hit this, but I didn't think it was overly necessarily to hit it right now, since didn't it only like top 1 YCS and has barely had a presence otherwise? But yeah, so be it. I get it. It's probably better in the long run, but I would have liked the deck to have had some more legs. Ancient Fairy Dragon, same sort of logic with what I was saying with Snow and That Grass Looks Greener. If it's either got to be Ancient Fairy or Destrudo, it might as well be Ancient Fairy, since what the card... This is a card where Yu-Gi-Oh! Kind of developed around it to make it good. Degenerate field spells, the annoying combos with Destrudo and Ravine, and then being able to search out other stuff. If anything, this is a nice little hit to ABC. Like, deal with them somewhat, because they really like abusing Destrudo and Ancient Fairy Dragon. Also, being able to just get a free special summon from the hand can help do more link plays, and thus sort of free the board up to do more nonsense. So ultimately, could they have not done this? I think so, and no one would have thought twice, but yeah, I get it. Then we have Supreme King Dragon Starving Venom. This is my one sort of big, I think this was a bad idea. I would have rather just hit Lyricless. That card is about a year old, and it led to 2 degenerate FTKs. Now, granted, 2 FTKs doesn't sound like a lot for a year, but think of how many other cards work their way into dumb combos and don't do that twice in a year. I think you're just inviting it to happen again. It's gonna happen again with Lyricless, and something else is gonna get banned because of it, and I don't know why they just don't hit the problem. But at the end of the day, Star Venom also did annoying interactions by being able to copy Electromite or being able to copy Ignister, so that may have played into it too, as, like I said with the Zexal lock, they kind of wanted to hit things that just sort of depower degeneracy within Magicians. And the other thing on the ban list is Phoenix Cluster Amaryllis. Don't care. Another annoying FTK. Better off to see it gone, I guess, but whatever. Finally, we have Masterpiece and Astrograph Sorcerer. These are the 2 big things, as both of these cards really were having a way too big a presence in the meta. First up, Masterpiece to me is one of the most obnoxious degenerate boss monsters ever. The fact that you can tribute spell and traps to summon it, the fact that it will have immunity from whatever you want, because let's be real here, you will set that board up right. And then it just pops everything on the opponent's turn, the disruption with it. It's just a completely overpowered card. Now, yes, True Dracos kind of lost a little bit of relevancy for a little red-hot minute, but then it came right back. So thus the deck has essentially flirted with Tier 1 status for about a year. That is not right. And the thing is that the Dynamite hit, the Ignis hit back in the day, those were so that way they could still get some money off the deck. But it's now been a year and the deck has to go. Masterpiece is completely overpowered, and I'm glad to see him go, and I'm glad other stuff gets to still be around in his absence. And then finally, the hit you all know is affecting me the most, Astrograph Sorcerer, is now banned. In a weird way, I think Magicians and True Dracos were sort of rivals. They sort of had this thing to where it's, you know, if you killed one, the other would become too powerful. So I like that they hit both of their most degenerate cards at once. Astrograph's ability to get to Electromite before the Pendulum Summon thanks to summoning Stargazer, the fact that he basically searches any destroyed monster, the fact that he's very easy to use, the fact that he's so abusable with Electromite. I think even though I would have liked for him to stick around, you couldn't even put him at 1 because he's still very degenerate. You could even make Vortex with this guy. He does so much. So it was fair. They were able to take out the two most problematic decks in a way that keeps things balanced, and I think will allow to a very fun meta as they cleaned up the problems. However, there are some things going into this meta that could be a thing. The Nightmare Engine in particular is extremely powerful and has now pushed Spirals back up. And I feel like now that True Draco and Magicians are gone, True Draco still has a lot of power. Magicians were tier 1 before Electromite, and they didn't use Astrograph Sorcerer at the time, so maybe they'll still be powerful. We'll have to wait and see. But the thing is that I feel like this format is going to be based around the Nightmare Engine. What build are you playing? How consistently can you get it out? Can you extra link? How will you shut everything down with Griffin? So keep your cherries in the side deck, people. I think that ultimately is where things are going to go. Brandish Maidens will be big, but I don't know how powerful they'll be since we can't dump spells in the grave as easily thanks to Upstart at 1. So we'll have to wait and see there, but ultimately I do like this ban list and I like what it's going to do for the Yu-Gi-Oh meta, so ultimately I'm happy it's here. But in the comment section below, give me your thoughts on this ban list. Do you like it? Do you not like that? I'm really curious to hear what people have to say. I do like it ultimately, and as always, click to like, click to subscribe, and let's see how the meta develops.